Okay, study guide for Unit 7 exam. Number 1 is asking you to write the expression with positive exponents only, and then simplify if possible. So let's take a closer look at it. So first thing I notice is that there's a negative exponent, but also notice how there is a negative in front of the 4 to the negative 2 power. This isn't the entirety of negative 4 being raised to the negative 2 power, just the 4, so this negative we're not going to touch. If this was in parentheses here, then we would move the entirety of negative 4. So we move just the 4 and the negative 2 exponent, leaving the negative in front. We'll have 1 over 4 squared. Negative exponents means we move it either from the top to the bottom or bottom to the top, depending on where you're at. So now we square the 4 and we get 16. So my answer is going to be negative 1 over 16. So let's put that in. So typing in negative 1 over 16, which is the answer for number 1. Number 2, it is asking you to simplify this expression. Let's take a closer look at it. So the first thing I notice is this h to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power except for 0 is going to be 1. Okay, so that means my denominator is going to be 1. So anything over 1 is just a numerator. So that means I'm just going to have everything here rewritten without the fraction. Now, next thing I notice is that these two have negative exponents. So that means I have to move them. 3 doesn't have a negative exponent, so I don't touch it. But both of these, I'll move underneath it, and I'll make the exponents positive. When I have a 1 for an exponent, I don't write it. The 5 becomes positive, so my answer is going to be 3 over fy to the 5th. So typing that in, I'll have 3 over fy to the 5th. And that's number 2. Number 3, it is asking you to evaluate the following expression for q equals negative 5 and r equals 3. So let's take a closer look at it. So the first thing I notice is that r to the 0 power. We know that becomes 1. Okay, so I'll have 1 over q to the negative 2 power. Now, since I have a negative 2 exponent here at the bottom, to make this exponent positive, I have to move this up top. So I'll have q squared. Now it asks you to evaluate. Q equals negative 5. So negative 5 squared is going to be positive 25. So that's going to be my answer. So my answer is going to be 25. That's number 3. Number 4, it says, what is the simplified form of the following expression? So all I do is multiply the numbers in front to each other, the coefficients. So negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Now I have variables, same variables with exponents. When I multiply them, I add the exponent. So 2 plus 4 is 6. I'll have x to the 6th power. And that is number 4. Number 5, we do the same thing. We multiply all the numbers in front of each other. So we have 5 times negative 6, and this is a 1 in front, but we don't write it. So that would be negative 30. These are all the same letter, so we add the exponents since they're all being multiplied. So 10 plus 8 is 18, plus 4 is 22. So z to the 22 power. So that's number 5. Number 6, it says to simplify the expression. So let's take a closer look at that. So the first thing I notice is that we have two variables with the same letter being multiplied to each other in the denominator. So what I want to do is multiply them together, and when I do that, I add the fractions. So 5 plus negative 8 gives me a to the negative 3. Now we have a negative exponent at the bottom of a fraction. That means I need to move it up top, so I'll have a to the 3rd power, and that's going to be my answer. So typing in, I have a to the 3rd power. And that's number 6. Okay, number 7, it is asking you to simplify the expression and to type this in exponential notation with positive exponents. So let's take a closer look at it. So the first thing I notice is that I have a negative exponent. So let's make that positive by rewriting all of this underneath 1 and making the exponent positive. Alright, so now what I need to do is raise each of these to the 1/3 power. I'll show you how to do this piece on the calculator. So I have 216 to the 1/3 power. So alpha y equals, and enter, do 1/3. And then press enter. You'll have 6. Okay, so basically that's the cube root of 216. So let's go back to our expression. So we now know 216 to the 1/3 power is going to just be 6. Now we have m to the 15 to the 1/3 power. We multiply exponents when we raise the exponent to a power. So we have 15 times 1/3. That would be 15/3, which is just 5. So then my answer is going to be 1/6m to the 5th power. So we have 1/6m to the 5th power. And that's number 7. Number 8, you are just bringing this power to everything inside the parentheses because all this is being raised to the 3rd power. So y to the 2/3 power, 2/3 times 3 is just going to be 2 because a fraction times its denominator is just its numerator. So we have y squared. Z, so z to the 3rd power is just going to be z to the 3. And that's number 8. Number 9, it says to simplify and to use scientific notation. So let's take a closer look at that. Okay, so I'm going to type in our expression. We have, put it in parentheses, 1.25 times 10 to the negative 13 power. And all of that is being raised to the negative 4 power, which gives us this, which is 4.096 times 10 to the 51st power. So let's put that in. So typing in, I have 4.096 times 10 to the 51st power. And that's number 9. All right, number 10, it says to simplify the expression. Let's take a closer look at that. So we are simplifying this. So the first thing I notice is that all of this is being raised to the 4th power. So I need to take care of that first. So we have an exponent being raised to a power. So I multiply 1/6 times 4, which will give me 4/6. Now at this point, these are being multiplied, so I have to add the exponents. Denominators are the same, so I just add the numerators. 4 plus 1 is 5, so I'll have q to the 5/6 as my answer. So typing in, I have q to the 5/6. And that's number 10.